Yeah, I'm different. Nah, I don't fit their system.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of How to Create a Simulator Game. We should be on episode 6. Let me check that. Yeah, we're in episode 6. So, in the last episode, we were just importing the code that we'd created on a base plate and also displaying how we can actually add that code. What we're going to do before we actually get started in this, because today we're going to be talking about how to create stats that aren't on the leader stats, because we've got only the bracket of leader stats at the minute. But we're first going to be taking this, oh, taking this. Have we got it all? And then, oh, actually, we still didn't get it all. So take all this, make sure we include this comment, and then we're gonna create a new script and go paste all this in here. We need to go over up to the top to get all the services. And that should be about right. So now that we've got that, this one is the connected. So rename player joined. And then we're also going to go to the second one and leaving. So player leaving has the player left, so when the player leaves, save the data, and also has the bind to close function, which stops the data being lost when the last player leaves because it shuts down the server. Then we also have on here, I hope we didn't control X, yeah, we control V, control C, sorry. So we've copied the major things that we need, the services, and then also we have added it to a new script so it's nice and tidy so we can edit it how we please. Player joined, and then I'll put player joined and leader stats. Just to make it a little bit clearer, I am just going to cut for the cough. Right, so in order to create a stat that is not in the leader stats, so we have got leader stats here. Let's actually create a new comment and call this stats not in leader stats. Okay, so now we have stats that aren't in the leader stats. We can create a local stats folder and then equals instance new. And then if you remember this from the previous videos, folder. So now we've created a new folder, and then we can say stats folder dot name equals stats folder, just to give it a name, and then stats, and we'll keep it exactly the same for this one. So when we cross-referencing it from other scripts like the clicker, we will actually be able to find it easier. And then we will do parent equals player. So now this is another stat that will, when the player has been generated into the game, it will create a folder. And this will be a stats folder. So now we can actually add things like local inventory. Let's actually create that with a capital. Inventory space, right? So we have a cap in there. I'm going to cut for the cough again. Right. So now we have this, we can turn this into an instance new, and we're going to have this as an int value. So let's do int value. And then we are going to, instead of saving this to the, so make parent, instead of making the parent the leader stats this time, we're going to say stats folder. So this is going to put it, oh, we've got a hashtag there. So if we now actually ran the game, once we've put, maybe we do inventory space equals inventory space name equals inventory space. We have to remember that we've spelt it like this, so when we actually reference it in further down the line, we remember this. So it might be better to actually add that there. So let's just do that now. Hold, can you not hold control on it? Oh, that's sad. Okay, I and then I. Right. So inventory space is inventory space. So if we run the game now, I should see no issues in the code and it tell me what was running as usual. Seven hours later. Okay, Roblox just got its knickers in a twist. We are back in the game. We still have all the cache that is remembered. We can actually click and add more just to make sure that it works. And then leave. Oh, before we leave, we want to check at the starter player, starter scripts. No, not starter player, players, Samail. There you go. So we have created a stats folder, and in the stats folder, we have got inventory space, which we don't actually have a value for this yet, but this is now a stat that won't show up on here. As you can see, it's not here, but it is still in there. So we can save that stat in another data storage and keep that stat for next time. We can eventually you'll want to start putting your stats and other things into tables and saving the tables, but for this one, keep it nice and simple for now, and then might move into that into the future. So let's just go and add a few more stats because we've not really been recording for that long. So if we go back into here, we can just Control C and Control V this. So we've got inventory space. What else would we want to keep? Experience points. So how much experience they've got to be in that level. So we can then eventually take that level. So local experience points. So let's Control C, double click and Control V to get these in there. And then we'll also do that in there. So we've got experience points now. So when we run the game again, we'll have experience points as a stat in there somewhere. So now we can start eventually adding this into here. So before adding loads more of these, we'll go into our leader stats again, not our leader stats, into here, and then we will add a local, and then we will call this inventory space data. Inventory data. Actually, inventory space data. Because we might have 1 second, cut for cough again. Right, so you might actually have, I've forgotten what I was saying, but ah well, we're just yeah, so we might actually have inventory inside of like wheat or other items. We are going to possibly progress to tables, but that's a little bit further down the line. So we'll start with this now and then maybe update it down later on. So local inventory space data, and then we will actually create another one of these by doing local, and then whatever we call the second thing, what did we make? Experience. Right, so we've got local inventory space data and local experience point data now. So what we need to do now is add that into the data saving again. So if we, because obviously it will all have to happen at the start of the game, normally you wouldn't have any errors of finding data, but this time it will, because we've already had data and it can't find the original data, but when your very first person joins, then you will have no issue. So has data, does not have data. We can add this in here now of um, get async. So we can go money data, level data. Now we have the inventory space data. So let's put that in here. And then experience point data. So let's do that there. And then we can do the exact same thing, but we need to, before we do that, create a new data store. So we have already a money and a level data store. So we will add space data store, data store, inventory space data store, and then we'll use the same thing here. And then this just makes it easier using copy and paste because, oh, sugar, what did I press? Oh, okay, I'm pressing too many things. Right, I hope that I've not buggered you up. Right, no, we're still recording. So I hope I've not buggered the code up either. Where did it go? Right, so we've got inventory space data, and then we will call this inventory space data store. And then we will do the exact same thing for the other one. So we'll copy and paste this and paste that in there, and then copy from data and then Control V and then copy all of this and then place that in there. So now we have two more data stores, inventory space data and experience point data. Like I said, eventually we will move on to tables, so we won't have so many data stores, but for now we're just going to try and show you how you can use data without actually having it in the leader stats. So now that we have that, we can move back down and we can go equals, and then it was inventory space data store get async, right? And then we'll use a player ID that we've had for quite a while. So now inventory space data, oh, wrong one. Experience point data store get async, and then player ID. Right, so the reason why we're actually using player ID, some people may be questioning this, is why we're using player ID rather than username. And this is because you can change your username, and that would mean that if they rejoin that game, then you would end up losing out on all of their things that they've both bought and played for. However, if you use the ID will never change. So that's why we're using ID. So now that we've done that, if we've got cash, as well, if we've got any inventory space, so inventory space dot value equals inventory space data, which we carried forward. And then also we've got experience points. Oh, yeah, experience points dot value equals experience points data. Right. So now that we have that, we do need to move over to the leaving because we have not got the, oh, where's it gone? There we go. Yeah, so leaving's there. So we need to copy and paste this over to here because we need to get these services as well. And then similar to the other one also, we need to find where, oh, local money data and local level data. So we just copy and paste these two. And then equals player dot, and now remember we have called this stats folder, right? And then we are finding in the stats folder, so go down to here, the stats folder here. So in the stats folder, we are finding inventory space now. So I think that was the first one. Yeah, inventory space, we need to find this. So let's copy and paste this name, add that in there, and then dot value. Same again, we need to do for this one. So equals player dot stats folder dot, now we need to remember the exact name, experience points, and then dot value. Now this is due to the fact that we're doing it from a second script also, and it's inside of a different function. So now that we've done that, we need to go money, we need to get the experience data store, set async, and then player ID, and then we will do inventory space data. Nope, wrong one, wrong way around. Experience data. I don't know how I did that, but there we go. And then we will do, it's a good job I noticed that though. So then we will also do, not money, inventory space data store, set async, player I, oh, yeah, player ID, and then we will do inventory space data, right? And then it will also tell me if data can or cannot be saved. We will originally start with, we've also need to know that if the players joined and they new, then we need to set their values. So inventory space dot value will need to be at least 10 because I feel like that's a nice starting value for a clicker game. and well, a gathering game, and then experience point value will need to equal 0. Right, so now that we have that, we should be able to move over to the clicker script. And this was me messing around with code. Hang on, I will have to pause for a second. Okay, so this should be something of what you're looking for. Well, I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible. So we want to do player dot stats folder dot experience point dot value plus equals 1, right? So now if we click this, quickly, I'm gonna skip over to this to get over. Right, so if I go into players, stats folder, experience points, it's not going up. Sad times. So this is why syntax is very important. I've got experience points here, and in the other one, I have got experience points. So be very, very careful with how you type things, because if I go back into here, I can now paste this, and then I will get to you when I'm there. Right, here we are. So we can click and you can see this value is going up. Again, it's not on our leaderboards, it's hidden away in our character somewhere. So keep clicking and then the value is 37. Now we have to pray to the lords of Roblox that I have not missed something inside of the syntax, but because this is getting a large script, this is why it's a bit more of an intermediate series now. But here we go, we click onto players, some mail, and then inventory, and it's not saved. It is because I did not have experience points here. I had to change this one. Well, I hope so. I'll see you in there. Right, so we have 17. Honestly, I swear this coding is sometimes this is why you should never get like worried or something that's not working, because sometimes you do have a syntax error and everybody gets them. So I will be with you shortly. I have found the culprit. It is another version of this is why changing code is a hassle sometimes, and getting deeper into code is hassle, which is why we split them off so we don't have to look at a ginormous screen. Now, I'll just let you watch this. If I have to suffer, then you can suffer with me. Right. 11. Load. Okay, I will skip this. Right, the drum roll, please, please, please. There we go. Right. I apologize for some of the syntax issues because I spelled experience wrong and then tried to spell it right, and then it was a complete faff. But here we go. We have now got 11 value inside of our experience points. If we go further up and add up to 20, maybe stop there, and then I'll pause. As you can see, I'm loading in the game now. Go straight to the stats folder, and there we have 38. Thank you all for your patience and me trying to figure out the syntax. I might have cut a little bit out of it, but it's probably better for you to see how I've done it. And that is it for today's episode. I hope you've learned something. If you have, give me a like or even subscribe, because it really helps this channel grow and helps more people see. And I will see you all next week. Peace.
Yeah, I'm different. Nah, I don't fit their system. So let the match class act, that's a fact. Never backtrack. ADD's my life hack. Addicted to spitting rap. Angels on my back. 111, telling me to carry on. What's a meal? The evil one. Without him, we'd be none.